Let's look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, a few days ago, we did a video going over the Detroit Lions big board at number 6, going over the top 6 players that could and will eventually be there at the number 6 overall position for the Detroit Lions to take, right? The Lions sit at 6. We went over the top 6 players that would fit the Detroit Lions, and one of those players is guaranteed to be there. But one of you requested a video, same premise, but for a different pick. Of course, the Lions end up having a second first-round pick in this year's draft in the first round, selecting at not only the 6th overall pick, but the 18th overall selection as well. And there are a lot of guys at the 18th overall pick that would make the Detroit Lions a better football team. So today we're going to go over those guys. Now, of course, we don't know where everybody's going to go. Some of these players might rise before the draft. Some of these players might fall before the NFL draft comes around. But as of right now, these are the top 5 players for the Detroit Lions to be targeting at the 18th overall selection in the 2023 NFL draft. Now, kicking off this list, we're going to go over to the Big Ten defensive side of the football and take a look at Iowa defensive end Lucas Van Ness. Measuring in at 6'5", 225 pounds. He is the ideal size for an edge rusher, but did not play just edge at Iowa. I know a lot of fans are going to say, oh, we don't need edge rusher. We have Hutchinson, we have Houston, we have Okwara, we have Harris, we have X player and Y player. But he did not just play edge. This is a player that played everything from the edge to the 3-tech to the 5-tech. Like, he played everything from guard to outside the tackle and played it at an incredibly high level. He has an incredibly high motor, never stops on a play, has good hands, good bend, is a crazy, crazy strong and explosive athlete. He is so incredibly good for this team and reminds me a lot of a former Michigan product you might have heard of named Aiden Hutchinson. Now, just to compare the two products, just for comparison's sake, let's say we wanted to compare the two. Well, in his final season at Iowa, Lucas Van Ness had 9 sacks on 217 pass rushing snaps. In his final season at Michigan, Aiden Hutchinson had 14 sacks on 425 pass rushing snaps. That means if Lucas Van Ness got the same amount of opportunity, if he rushed the passer 425 times, which is the exact number that Aiden Hutchinson rushed the passer in his final year at Michigan, Lucas Van Ness would have walked away from the 2022 college football season with 17.6 sacks statistically. So we're going to say 17.5 because you can't get a 1/6 of a sack. But yeah, 17.5 sacks in one season by the defensive lineman from Iowa. That is how bad Iowa fumbled the bag with Lucas Van Ness. And if he was to get 17.5 sacks this year, we're talking about this guy as a number 1 overall pick. He is a freaky athlete. He is big. He is fast. He is strong. He never, ever, ever quits on a play. And when the Detroit Lions went through the combine and they interviewed about 40 plus players, and they said 4 of the guys they interviewed or 4 of the guys they have seen have that it factor that they're looking for, I would be very shocked if Lucas Van Ness was not one of those 4 players. He just has everything you're looking for in an edge rusher. If he just got to play more at Iowa, if Iowa's coaching staff just let the best players play instead of doing what they do and having the seniors play over the young players, Lucas Van Ness would have been one of the best, if not the best, college football defensive player last season and would likely be the number 1 overall pick. This is a safe pick. This is a culture fit. This is everything you could possibly look for in a first-round selection by the Detroit Lions, and you're getting the opportunity to select him at 18 overall. And honestly, if they traded up and gave away a day 2 or even a day 3 pick, I wouldn't be mad to move up a few spots to secure the defensive end from Iowa. Now, the next player I want to talk about is Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback from Penn State, standing at 6'2", 193 pounds, and 34-inch arms. Just for comparison's sake, those 34-inch arms are the same length as 6'5" defensive end Lucas Van Ness. Joey Porter's arm length is incredibly long and a top percentile for cornerbacks coming out of the draft. He ran a 4.47, so pretty good speed. And last season at Penn State, Joey Porter was targeted 30 times, gave up 15 receptions for 143 yards, having a 63.6 quarterback rating when targeted, and allowing 0 touchdowns. And in the 822 coverage snaps of his entire collegiate career, he allowed a single touchdown. Now, to compare him to another rookie from last year, one that ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner, in his last year at Cincinnati, was targeted 37 times, gave up 18 receptions for 122 yards and 0 touchdowns. Now, he did have 3 interceptions, which made the quarterback rating look significantly better than what Joey Porter Jr. was to do, but as far as targets and receptions and completion percentage and touchdowns allowed, they played very near identical. And as far as a cornerback prospect, they're not too far off. Now, Sauce Gardner was, of course, much more clean, much more refined in his technique than where Joey Porter Jr. is at the moment. But if you're talking about build, you're talking about potential, you're talking about what players can turn into with the right coaching and the right experiences, there is no cornerback better equipped to succeed in the NFL than Joey Porter Jr. He has decent enough speed, he has the length, he has the ball skills, he doesn't allow a lot in coverage immediately on day one. You're getting a shutdown cornerback, much like Sauce Gardner was for the New York Jets, and you could get him at the 18th overall pick with the explosive athletes in this cornerback class, with the flashy players in this cornerback group. Joey Porter Jr. is going to fall to middle or late in the first round, and the Lions are going to have the chance to get a Sauce Gardner type prospect at the 18th overall selection. Now, going on to number 3 player on this list, I have Kalijah Cancey, the small, undersized defensive tackle from Pitt. Now, of course, he does stand at just 6'1", does not weigh in very well, but is a really good pass rusher, is extremely quick, extremely fast, had 14.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks. 14.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks last year for the Pittsburgh Panthers. He is not the strongest player, isn't going to push the pocket, isn't really going to, throw the tackles or throw the guards back into the quarterback. He's just going to go right around him. 2 steps, easy, quick, put the hands down, swipe them away, get around, go get the sack. He's not going to, collapse the pocket. He's not going to open up rushing gaps for the linebackers. But what he is going to do, he's going to go get you pressures. He's going to go get you sacks. He's going to go get you tackles for loss. He's going to make splashy big plays, and he's going to make your defense better. I think there is a real possibility that both Joey Porter Jr. and Lucas Van Ness are gone by 18. And if Kalijah Cancey is even still there at 18, I think he would be a very good pick. He's more of the traditional interior defensive lineman, doesn't really have the outside versatility like a Lucas Van Ness, but he's a very quick, very twitchy pass rusher that gets production and gets the plays. So I think he is a very good player in order to go there as well. Looking at the 4th prospect, I have Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida. Has allowed 0 sacks in his 1,062 pass blocking snaps, and only allowed 1 hit in his collegiate career at Florida. 6'5", 347 pounds, mauler in the run game, very refined in his pass technique, went toe-to-toe with Jalen Carter and did not give up a sack, did not give up a quarterback hit. I believe only gave up 1 pressure in that game versus Jalen Carter, the best player in this draft class. He is a monster. If you put him next to Penn and Frank Ragnow, there is nobody that can stop that trio, right? You run behind that trio every single time, and every single time, unless the running back slips or the snap is fumbled, you are going to get a first down. You are going to get positive yardage every single time, because Penn is a great run blocker, Frank Ragnow's a nasty run blocker, and you're going to run behind those two and then put a 6'5", 350-pound mauler at right tackle and say, just go find somebody and open a hole. He's going to do that 10 times out of 10. Again, I think Osiris Torrance might fall even into the late first round, maybe even early day 2. But if he's available at 18 and some of the better options are gone, I think that he is a very good candidate to be on the board at 18. And you add him to the Lions defensive line, and I think undisputably they have the best offensive line in all of football. And then moving on to the 5th option here, we're going to go with Cam Smith. He had a little bit of a down season last year, having 38 targets, 18 receptions, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But he has fluid hips. He is a good tackler. He does have good instincts, and he is a very, very big competitor. He's somebody that wants to get better, somebody that is going to fight for the ball every single time, does make some big plays, does get beat on occasion, but for a mid to late first round pick. I think that you're looking at potentially that tier 2 of cornerbacks. Cam Smith does have room to develop, does look like a very good prospect, and could turn into a top cornerback from this class. Couple honorable mentions. I think Bijan Robinson is a player that definitely could be looked at the 18th overall pick, but just based off of the depth of this running back class and knowing that the running back position really isn't all that valuable to take at a top 20 selection, I don't think Bijan would be the great pick. I think it is potentially realistic knowing that Brad Holmes likes his playmakers in the first round, and Brad Holmes will do anything to get the right playmakers in the building. But as far as just positional value and overall depth of the class, I think it's unlikely. And then, of course, you also have Kelee Ringo, again, kind of that tier 2 of cornerback. Doesn't have the most fluid of hips, but is 6'2", runs in the 3.7s, has the ball skills, is pretty patient when it comes to pass coverage and just watching the hips. He's very good at it. Overall, a very good cornerback prospect in his own right. But overall, those are my top 5, technically, I guess, top 7 prospects for the Detroit Lions at the 18th overall selection. Lucas Van Ness, I think, is the best option. Then it goes Joey Porter from Penn State, Kalijah Cancey from Pitt, Osiris Torrance from Florida, Cam Smith from South Carolina. And if all those options are gone, of course, you always have Bijan Robinson or Kelee Ringo from Texas and Georgia, respectively. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.